What is up, you wonderful humans? Today we're back with another slosh scale or rocket reviews. What is it called? I don't. It seems like it changes constantly. I don't know what the fuck this thing is called anymore. But we're back with another. Let's just call it slosh scale today. Why not? That's fun. But we're back with the Rocket League slosh scale rocket reviews. I don't know. Call it whatever you want. Why am I staying on this for too long? It doesn't matter. We have a lot of movies that came out in March. A lot of stuff happened in March. A big month if you're a movie, TV show, game fan. A lot of stuff happened. So we're gonna talk about that all today. But first, let's hop into a game, shall we? Okay, so it turns out I am recording this after the fact because those games didn't go well. It started turning into less of a review and more into me just kind of yelling and screaming. So, this is so fucking dumb. If you could catch the goddamn ball, but no, you're just gonna sit there and fucking do nothing while they score on us. God, I actually need that. I need that. Fuck off! I get all the worst teammates in this game. For the love of God, one good person. So anyway, where were we? Creed 3, yeah. Let's not do that. So yeah, let's start off with the first week of March, and that was March 3rd. We got Creed 3. Now, I love the Creed films. Creed 1 is one of my favorite movies of all time. Creed 2 I thought was really good. Had some issues, but I still thought it was a great movie. Creed 3 just came out, and I was really hyped for it. Obviously, Jonathan Majors coming just off of Ant-Man. He was the best part of that movie, so I was excited to see him in Creed 3, and he's better here. Jonathan Majors is fantastic in this movie. He has some controversies going on right now, so, you know, I don't know if I hope we get to see him some more, and I hope he is actually innocent like his lawyer says he is, but if he isn't, those are some pretty serious charges, and that's pretty fucked up. But we're just gonna go with the innocent till proven guilty right now. So right now, let's just go with his lawyer isn't lying, and he actually does have evidence that proves he's not guilty. So let's just go with that and take it as fantastic performance. Michael B. Jordan also gives a performance of a lifetime. I think this is the best I've ever seen Michael B. Jordan as. And overall, it's just a fantastic movie. The one thing I kind of had an issue with, and I thought it could have been a lot better done, but it just wasn't that well done in this movie, was the sort of like anime-inspired fight scenes that Michael B. Jordan talked about. He was very inspired by anime, he said a lot in this movie, but I don't know if it really worked. Like, I thought it worked in the first couple fight scenes, but it was mainly the final fight scene. They take a really artistic way at doing it. The movie's been out long enough, so I'm going to talk about it. If you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. But in the final fight, they kind of do this thing where like the arena empties out and fog comes in, and then there's like a jail cell. It's a very visual aid fight, which the Creed films haven't really been known for. They've been more like the, you know, quick cut-to-cut fight, like especially like the first movie. The first Creed I thought had a fantastic last fight because you were really in the action there. I felt the sort of artistic style they took kind of almost dragged me out of the movie sometimes rather than put me into the movie. I didn't think it was like anything super negative. I just think it's something that should be pointed out because I don't think it worked as well as they want to. I think there is potential there, but it just needs to, you know, be done a little differently. Other than that, though, I really don't have many complaints. I thought this movie was fantastic. I thought the story was great. All the performances are great. I mean, every scene, every shot looks fantastic. The Creed films have always been really well shot. They always have some really hype fights, and this one's no different. Creed 3 was fantastic. I don't know what much more to say. We're just gonna give it a solid 80 out of 100 on the Rocket Review slosh scale. March 10th, we got another sequel. March was a big month for sequels. Not many original films, but we got a lot of sequels. We got Scream 6 this time. I've never been the biggest Scream fan. I'm just gonna be completely honest. Although, coming out of Scream 5, I really liked Scream 5. I thought Scream 5 was fantastic. I thought it totally... I went in with no expectations, and it blew me away. I loved Scream 5. I thought it was my favorite in the franchise, because I've never been the biggest fan. Like, I like number 1, number 2 is okay, but 3 and 4 I didn't really care about at all. So, number 5 was a big shock to me how good it was, but it was really good. I highly encourage you to go watch Scream 5 or Scream, because... yeah, they do that stupid thing where the sequel's titled the same as the original. But Scream 6 is Scream 6, and it's really good. I was a bit worried. I wanted to like it a lot because I love 5 a lot, but I was worried how fast of a turnaround this movie had. They greenlit this thing and got it out within a year. Like, the first movie came out last year in the fifth movie came out last year in January, and this one came out this year in March. That's not a long turnaround to greenlit a movie, do production, write the script, do all of that. That seems like a bit of a rushed project. So I was like, okay, they're just gonna cash grab this thing and get this out of there as fast as they can. But no, that's not what they did. They delivered a good product. I don't think it's as good as Scream 5. I like Scream 5 better, but this movie is still really well done. Honestly, the worst part of this movie was one of the best parts of the last movie. I thought Jenna Ortega was pretty bland, which is a bit surprising because she's coming off a hot streak. I think she's been fantastic in a lot of the stuff I've seen her in recently, whether it's Wednesday or Scream 5 or X. She seems like she's always doing her best job. She just seemed so like bored to be here. She didn't seem like she was putting much effort into any of her line delivery. Most of it was just kind of boring. She was like kind of Keanu Reeves in this movie, but Keanu Reeves is cool and gets away with it. I love Jenna Ortega, but she's not as cool as Keanu Reeves, so she doesn't get away with it as much. Everyone else, though, seems like they're doing a good job, or as good of a job as they can. There's some kind of cheesy dialogue that honestly made me roll my eyes. Like, sometimes here, it gets pretty damn goofy, and they take it way too seriously. I also thought the reveal, I didn't predict the reveal. I'm actually pretty good at generally predicting the reveal in these movies. Like, I guessed Scream 5 was going to be, what's Jack Quaid's character? What's his character's name? I don't know. I forget, but I guessed it was going to be Jack Quaid. I didn't know it was going to be Amber, but I got half of it right, so I kind of predicted it. This one, I didn't predict it at all. To me, that's because it just kind of comes out of left field, and then once you start to think about it, it makes no sense whatsoever. The movie's been out long enough again, so I'm going to talk about it here, because if you haven't seen it, you probably don't care to see it. So the reveal is that the killers, it's 3 killers this time, which is a Scream first, but it's the cop guy, you have the teenage nerd that no one gives a shit about, and then you have the girl they killed off like 20 minutes into the movie. I didn't think this reveal was that cool. Like, yeah, I didn't predict it, so it was like a nice actual surprise, but it wasn't like a cool reveal. I don't know. I kind of wanted it to be like characters I actually cared about. I think that adds to the impact. Like, I liked Jack Quaid's character a lot in the first movie, so when he turns out to be the killer, it's like, oh shit, that's one of my favorite characters in the movie. I think it adds to the effect. When it's 3 characters I found the least intriguing, when they had much better options to make the killers, I just didn't really care for the reveal at all, especially since it makes no sense. So they're kind of revealed to be the family of Jack Quaid's character. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. Maybe I should look it up. Richie, that sounds right. Okay, yeah, Richie, that's what it is. Okay, yeah, Richie, the killers are revealed to be Richie's family, brother, sister, dad. That makes no sense though, because they are tracking down and killing Richie's old girlfriend before she killed him. How does she not know any of these people? You think if you're girlfriend, boyfriend of someone, you've probably met their parents and family, because they say they've been together for like 6 months in the last movie. You feel like she would have at least seen a photo of his dad or his brother or his sister, just anyone really, and not a single thing. Like, she doesn't know them at all, not even like, doesn't even like kind of have a faint remembrance of them. Just nothing. So that just kind of boggled my mind. And that kind of just, for the rest of the movie, I was kind of sitting there thinking about that instead of actually just kind of enjoying the movie, because I was like, huh, that makes no sense whatsoever. So the reveal isn't the best reveal in the Scream movie, but the rest of it works fine. All the other performances in the movie are doing good. I did think it was a bit weird. Now, Scream movies have never been like ultra realistic. Like, people get stabbed a lot in Scream movies, but this one took it to a whole nother level. There's some people who get stabbed like 50 times in the chest and heart and head and just get up and walk it off, and you see them in like a gurney at the end of the movie. It's like, what the fuck? How did they get here? But yeah, I mean, that's an issue with a lot of these Scream movies, so that's not a big deal. But overall, movie was a lot of fun. I liked the story, was serviceable. It was mainly just there to be a fun little Scream movie. Wasn't as good as the last one, but I still really enjoyed it. I'm thinking a 70 to 100 on the Rocket Review SLOSH scale. Next up, we had the finale to The Last of Us. Now, I'm just going to kind of do a small little review of The Last of Us here, because I have a major, super long video coming on the whole Last of Us, so I don't care to talk about it too much here. But The Last of Us is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't watched it, you got to watch it. The story, obviously, is The Last of Us story, which is one of the best in video games, so that's fantastic. I thought Pedro and Belly, I always kind of thought Pedro Pascal was going to make a great Joel. I wasn't really skeptical of him as much as other people were, but I had my skepticism of Bella, and I was like, I'll wait until the thing, I'll give her a chance to win me over, and win me over she did. She is fantastic as Ellie. I really believed her to be Ellie. Just after the first episode, I was like, okay, that's Ellie's mannerisms. She nailed it. And yeah, she continues that through the whole season. Episode 8 was really like her Emmy, just like, send me the Emmys, my address, because she blows out of the park in that episode. Pedro Pascal earned all of his Emmys in episode 6. Fantastic season. I thought there was a little time, sometimes where it suffered from not having action, mainly episode 8 in the winter section when you have, in the game, you have that big fight with David and you see like a bloater and everything. And I thought that actually helped to make David's turn more dramatic because you grow to like trust this dude. You just trust them with your life facing a bloater. So you're like, hey, this dude must be fine. And then he turns on you and it makes more of an impact. Here they just have like a 10-second chat and then David turns and it's like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, that's awesome. But that was really the only time I really felt like the show suffered from not having action. The rest of the times I'm like, okay, I get why they took it out because it wasn't really needed for the story. And they already promised that season 2 is going to have a lot more action, which obviously it needs to because it's more of an action-packed game, so no shit. But yeah, I'm hella excited for season 2 because The Last of Us 1 and 2 I love dearly. The Last of Us 1, my favorite game of all time. Last of Us 2, I really like. It's not my favorite game, like in my top 10 even probably. But hell, The Last of Us 2 is a fantastic game. I don't care what anyone says. I really liked that game. I thought it was really creative to the way it told the story. There was a few times it was a bit on the nose, but we're not here to talk about The Last of Us 2. We're here to talk about The Last of Us show. The Last of Us show is amazing. Everything about it. You need to go watch it. I'm going to give this thing a 95 out of 100 on the SLOSH scale. Rocket Review SLOSH scale. And yeah, you should go watch it because this was fantastic. It's a bummer you didn't watch it while I was playing, but you probably did because like everyone watched it. March, what was that? Wait, no, we got something that Friday, right? Yeah. Oh my God, Shazam came out. Dude, dude, Shazam feels like it's been out forever. I forgot this movie came out. What the hell? Okay. Yeah, Shazam was, I don't even really remember what happened in Shazam 2. No one saw the movie. It was a huge flop, which is why it's a good thing James Gunn is restarting the DCEU. In James Gunn we trust. But yeah, man, wow, I completely forgot this movie happened. I know there was that one like really weird joke they kept referring back to, that this 3,000-year-old goddess was sleeping with like this 16-year-old kid, which they kind of pulled the whole we mentioned it so it's not weird anymore, but it's really weird. It was the same thing they did in Wonder Woman 1984 where Wonder Woman's kind of like unintentionally raping some random dude because she thinks it's Chris Pine. I don't know. That was weird. DCU does a lot of this weird stuff. It gets me to question some of the creatives. Yeah, overall, Shazam, I mean, I remember walking out of the theater and didn't hate it. Like, I thought it was just really mediocre, but I didn't have, like, major issues with it. It just did everything really by the books. It stuck to it. The only thing that I thought was really good, again, was Zachary Levi as Shazam. I love Zachary Levi. I love Zachary Levi in this role, and he clearly has a ton of fun with it. It's sad to see that he probably won't be continuing the role anymore with how bad this movie did, but overall, I mean, if you go to see it, which you probably won't, but if you go to see it, if you're really, really bored, just go see John Wick 4. I'm gonna give this thing a 45 out of 100 on the SLOSH scale. If you're in the mood for a really mediocre superhero film, because we haven't had enough of those recently, I guess go check this film out. Next up, we had, I alluded to it earlier, I really loved it, John Wick Chapter 4. I mean, if you haven't watched the John Wick movies, you are severely missing out. The John Wick movies are some of the best action movies, nay, the best action movies of all time. It's the best action franchise. Not a single movie has been bad yet, and they're doing spin-offs soon, which I hope are going to be just as good. If you put Ana de Armas and Norman Reedus in a John Wick spin-off, hell yes, I'm going to go see that shit. And you have the Continental spin-off coming out soon. It's clear they want this thing to keep going for good reason, because John Wick Chapter 4 just continues the hot streak. Personally, to me, I still think John Wick Chapter 3 is my personal favorite still, but damn, John Wick Chapter 4 is 3 hours of absolute greatness, John Wick greatness. Oh my god, it's fantastic. It's brutal. Keanu Reeves is like, what, 58 at this point, and he's still killing it. He's doing a ton of these stunts and flipping dudes over and flipping them on the cars, and doing all these different things, getting thrown around the room, and he's still able to do it at 58. I think he's 58. But, I mean, that's what everyone aspires to be like at 58, right? To be able to be that mobile, I guess. God, even the story here, I love the John Wick world. I think John Wick has a great world with a great set of characters, and they introduce new characters in this movie that I would easily go see a spin-off of either of these two new characters. They introduce a character called Mr. Nobody. I would 100% be first in line to get tickets to see a Mr. Nobody movie, because I love this character. I thought him and his dog were really cool. I loved when he would just go nuts and the dog would just go and bite people's nuts. I thought that was super funny. And Mr. Nobody in general is just super cool. I love I wish they kind of played on this a bit more, honestly, but I love the dynamic where that John Wick and Mr. Nobody have. I'm not going to say anything in case you haven't seen the movie, but they have this really fun dynamic together. And if you've seen it, you know what I mean. But I wish they would have played on that a little bit more. They kind of only play on it towards the beginning, but yeah, they worked really well together. The star for me though was Donnie Yen as Kane. I loved Donnie Yen's Kane. He's like kind of like a more realistic Daredevil in a way. Like, he clearly is not perfect because he's blind. He misses a few shots here and there, but still, he's kicking ass. I love there's this one scene. This is a very minor spoiler, so I'm going to talk about it because it doesn't ruin the movie in any way. There's this one scene in this fight scene where Kane, Donnie Yen, is like placing doorbells on the walls and stuff. So when people walk by them, he knows where they are. I thought that was just really cool. I thought stuff like that really made the character stand out. And just in general, Donnie Yen's fantastic. I love this man. So yeah, I would easily go see a Kane spinoff too. Every character in John Wick is fantastic. And the story here works for me. Like, it's not like a groundbreaking story by any means, but none of the John Wick movies have had groundbreaking stories. There's really good stories that work in the universe. I thought Bill Skarsgård playing the villain was amazing. I love Bill Skarsgård. I didn't think they did enough to make him really intimidating and make him feel like a threat to John, which I get that was the point, is he wasn't supposed to be a threat and he was sending all these henchmen. That's why he was getting all scared and stuff when John was actually going to make it to the duel. But it would have been nice to see him be a bit more intimidating, because he had the one scene where he like sticks a knife, but it would have been nice to see him be a bit more intimidating. Like, there's a couple scenes where he shows off his intimidating nature, but they don't do it enough in my opinion. But still, Bill Skarsgård's amazing. I thought he was amazing in this movie. Overall, all the performances were great. Some of the best action in the John Wick franchise of all time. And it's just impressive how long some of the fight scenes go on too. Like, some of these fight scenes, you think they're gonna end, but then they just keep going and going, and it's all the better for that. There's one particular scene where it's closer to the beginning of the movie when John Wick has the nunchucks out. Man, that fight scene was hella that was probably my favorite fight scene in the whole movie. There's also another one, the gate, that goes full video game style, and you like go above head like you're in like the Black Ops arcade, and John Wick has this like dragon breath shotgun, and it's hella fun. It's such a fun movie. If you haven't watched the John Wick films, you're missing out. You gotta go see them. You gotta go see John Wick 4 in the biggest screen possible, because it's a hella fun movie. I'm giving John Wick Chapter 4, I honestly have to give it like a 90 out of, I think I have to give it like a 95 out of 100. I damn near think this was perfect for what it was trying to do. My one other complaint I had with it was the final like big fight of the movie is kind of a boring set piece location. It's on just some like old alleyway stairs. I thought that was kind of a boring set piece compared to what we've seen John Wick on in the past. Even in the earlier in this movie, he's in hella cool set pieces, and his final fight is on like this old ass garbage filled staircase. I don't know, that was kind of a boring set piece, but still, overall, it damn near knocks it out of the park. It's got to get a 95 out of 100 on the Rocket Review / scale. Now, that wasn't all we got March 24th. We also got the Resident Evil 4 remake. Now, if you've been on this planet and have done any sort of video gaming, God, did I just call it video gaming? What the fuck is wrong with me? You've probably heard of Resident Evil 4, or at least the Resident Evil franchise, but probably most specifically 4, because a lot of people consider it the best Resident Evil game. I think for fair reason. The original Resident Evil 4 is still one of the best games of all time, and I think it's aged really well for being a 2005 game. Like, it's not aged all too bad. And I honestly didn't even really think it needed a remake. The only reason I really was excited for the remake is because I was like, I'll finally be able to play this game on keyboard and mouse. If you've ever tried to play the original Resident Evil 4 on keyboard and mouse, man, that shit sucks. I would rather clean my ass with a blow dryer than play that game on keyboard and mouse. It's awful. Other than that, though, the game still holds up pretty well. Yeah, there's some dumb AI, but what 2005 game doesn't have dumb AI? And the remake still has dumb AI, so there's that. Overall, though, the remake is fantastic. I feel like the main issue with the remake is it takes itself a bit too seriously at times. The original game kind of has this nice balance where it's not taking itself too seriously, but also can take itself seriously. You'll have like the giant mecha statue of Ramona chasing you, and there's just some fun things like that that just show it's not taking itself too seriously. Then when Leon says some goofy ass dialogue, it fits better. This movie, in this game, they take out all of that, and they leave in the goofy ass dialogue. So it's like, well, it just kind of seems out of place now, and it doesn't work most of the time, and just kind of makes Leon look like an idiot. But other than that, damn, this game's fantastic. I have put so many hours in this game already. I've beaten my professional run. I'm already working on my professional S+ run because I gotta get those cat ears for infinite ammo. I don't know if the original game had anything like Armored Ashley. I'm not sure if they did, but man, if it didn't, I am so thankful that this game had Armored Ashley. One of the best things about the Resident Evil franchise is how fun they are to speedrun. I think people who aren't speedrunners enjoy trying to speedrun Resident Evil games. And I think that's for good reason, because it feels like they're meant for that. And this game added Armored Ashley, which is basically just makes Ashley immune to attacks, so you don't have to worry about her anymore. It just is like another thing that just makes it so much fun to speedrun. And there's a lot of skips you can do that just skip portions of the game, so it's super fun to speedrun and try to find these skips and go for the S+ ranks. All the Resident Evil games are fun like that. It's one of the biggest draws, and this one is one of my favorites to try and complete as fast as I can. It's a blast. Resident Evil 4's story is super good too. I enjoy the story. The boss fights are fun. There's really nothing. This is one of the best games of all time, and the remake just makes it even better. This is easily in one of my top 5 games of all time. Resident Evil 4 Remake gets a 90 out of 100 on the SLOSH scale, Rocket Review SLOSH scale. I'm never going to get that right. But yeah, no, if you're looking for a fun game, play the Resident Evil 4 Remake. That shit slaps so hard. Next up, we got the Dungeons & Dragons movie. If you would have told me 5 months ago that one of my most anticipated movies of the year was going to be Dungeons & Dragons, I would have called you absolutely insane and probably walked in the opposite direction. But damn, I started seeing those trailers, and Dungeons & Dragons slowly became one of my most anticipated movies of 2023. And I'm so happy that it actually played off. This movie's fantastic. It's so much fun. I love the Dungeons & Dragons movie. I had fun at every second of it. Hell, I went to go see it a second time. I liked it so much because I just thought it was that much of a blast. It's always when I see Chris Pine that I realize I don't see Chris Pine in enough stuff. Chris Pine is so fun on screen. I think in this movie he especially shines. I think all the casts, like some of these casts are big names. I've seen a lot of stuff. Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, Chris Pine, like there's the big names in there. This is the best I've seen them like ever. I enjoyed all of these people more than I've ever seen them before. It just seemed like everyone was so passionate and having so much fun while making this movie, and it shows because you have fun watching it, and everyone just seems like there was not a bit of hate on this movie. It just was absolutely loved by audiences, critics, and the cast, it seemed like, and that was fantastic to see. So many of the jokes, I can't honestly name a single joke that didn't land to some extent. So there's some jokes that are maybe drawn out for a bit too long or something that, start to get a bit tiring, but nearly everything lands. The only thing that didn't really work for me, now I've never played D&D, maybe there's some lore or something I'm missing here that adds and makes it actually the best villain of all time. I didn't really care for the Red Wizard that was in the movie, like the villain. She didn't really interest me at all. She just seemed like I'm evil, so I'm evil, and I'm doing evil things because I'm evil, and I have this evil overlord that you see for like 5 seconds in a dark corner of a room, and I'm doing this for him. Like, I didn't understand the motive at all of why she was doing any of this. She serviced fine as like just this punching bag for the main cast, and she isn't in a lot of the movie, so I didn't really care too much, but just kind of could have done a bit better on the villain. And even like the secondary villain, I didn't think he worked too well either. Like, he had some funny jokes and stuff that definitely worked, and he seemed like he was having fun, but I didn't really care for his character either at all. But our main cast here is all fantastic. I love each and every one of them. I think they're all great. I think they all work well together. They seem like they have great chemistry. They seem like they all like each other, and the story here is fine. It's enough serviceable. I actually really like the emotional moments between Chris Pine and his daughter. I thought a lot of those worked really well. Everything here just kind of works really well, and I think that's the biggest draw to it, is that everything works together. Nothing seems like out of place or doesn't work. Overall, if you haven't seen the Dungeons & Dragons movie, you gotta rush out and do that, because it's a fun ass movie. It's a fun couple of hours at a theater. I'm thinking a solid 90 out of 100 again on the Dungeons & Dragons movie. It's just, March was such an impressive month because I was expecting quite a few of these movies to be bad, even though I was hyped for them. And pretty much the only thing that came out in March that I didn't love was Shazam. I do want to throw in a quick bonus movie here. Since I am making this a bit late, it's already a bit into April. I saw the Super Mario Bros. Movie at a midnight screening. A midnight screening with an impressive amount of children. I don't know why so many children are going to a midnight screening on a school night. Or is it a school night? I don't know. When's spring break for elementary school kids? I'm not sure anymore. But whatever. That's not my concern. That's theirs. I saw the Mario movie. And the Mario movie, I thought I would talk about here since why not? You know, it's jam-packed video. Let's make it even more jam-packed. Super Mario Bros. Movie is completely fine. I gotta say I was a bit let down by it, honestly. I thought the trailers made it look fantastic. And while I think a lot of the stuff in it is fantastic, there's one massive drawback, which no is not Chris Pratt's Mario voice. It is the story. The story is pretty much non-existent here. It's a pretty shit story, even if there is any story. But that's really the only thing that I think is bad here. There's also, I take that back. There's one more thing. The amount of shitty, forced, and overused pop songs in this movie, my god, made me want to die. This isn't a major spoiler, so I'm just gonna say it here. They use the song No Sleep Till Brooklyn by the Beastie Boys. I'm not gonna tell you where, but they use it. And it's, if you would have told me a Mario movie was going to use No Sleep Till Brooklyn in the movie, and that's not even the only one. There's like Thunderstruck. Of course they have the scene, like, I can just imagine like the people who had to choose the music walking into the room. Guys, we have this movie where everyone's happy and all hugging and everything. We need a song. And some like random guy intern in the corner just went, Mr. Blue Sky? I like that song. Damn it, Jimbo, you're a fucking genius. It's all the most generic overused songs. And I don't get why a Mario movie had to do that. You have, what, I think who did they have doing the music for this movie? Yeah, they had Brian Tyler scoring the Mario movie. You have Brian Tyler, someone who does some incredible scores, and you had to switch to generic pop songs and rock songs for some of the sections. Like, really? Why not just have Mario? Mario has some of the best music of all time. Why not just have the Mario music? But other than the soundtrack, and because when Brian Tyler's soundtrack does come in, like, it's a big kind of grand orchestral reimagining of some of the Mario songs, and it works. I like it. I thought the soundtrack was pretty cool when it was actual Mario music, but when it's pop songs, it doesn't work too much. But other than the soundtrack and the story, I thought this movie was fantastic. I thought every other part worked. I was one of the people, even though Chris Pratt is my favorite actor, I was a bit concerned by his Mario voice in the trailers. It didn't really win me over, and they must have just taken every worst line from him in the movie and put it into the trailer. There was some lines in the trailer that weren't even in the movie. I don't know if they took them out after the fact or whatnot, but they were not in the movie. And it's just, I even though I didn't think he was the best voice actor in the movie, I thought it was a completely fine and serviceable Mario voice. There was sometimes where, yeah, it just sounded like Chris Pratt, but sometimes it was actually like a pretty good, like, yeah, I can buy that as Mario. So I thought he did a fine job, but everyone else here I thought did a fantastic job in voice acting. Even Seth Rogen I thought was great as Donkey Kong. Now, Seth Rogen just sounds like Seth Rogen in the movie, but I don't know, kind of worked for Donkey Kong. I didn't mind it. Easily the best two here were Jack Black as Bowser, which I don't think anyone's surprised about. I didn't love what they did with Bowser a bit of the way through the movie. I thought it started to, you know, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But there's stuff that didn't really work for me with Bowser that they did in this movie. That doesn't mean Jack Black doesn't just kill it in the movie, though. Jack Black gives it 110%. This movie's worth going to see just for Jack Black alone. But the other one I thought that really killed it was Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I thought Toad was the best part of this movie. Toad gave me some of the biggest laughs in the movie. I loved Toad in this movie. I'm most excited to see Toad in the sequel. Because, yeah, there will inevitably be a sequel to this movie. They have some post-credit scenes. I won't tell you what they are, but they tease something for the inevitable sequel. And this movie apparently is going to have a massive-ass opening weekend, so I guarantee it's going to get a sequel because money speaks louder than anything in the business. So yeah, the movie's going to have a sequel, and I think that's fine. I just hope the sequel has better understanding of how great of music Mario already has and how a story can really help a movie. So those are the only two things they really need to get right in the sequel to have everything else, because everything else works in this movie. It looks great visually. I thought all the character models were great. All the voice acting was really good in my opinion. The jokes landed most of the time. There was a couple jokes where like just seemed a lot more targeted towards kids, which it's a kids movie, so yeah, obviously, and those jokes won't land for as much for adults like me because I am super mature and have grown up. But most of the jokes actually did land for me. I actually enjoyed a lot of the jokes. I found myself laughing quite a bit. Yeah, Mario movie is actually pretty good. I feel like I was kind of surprised because I don't agree with the critic scores at all. I don't see why. Now, I get if you're looking at it analytically, yeah, there's stuff that might give it a negative score, but if you're going into a Mario movie expecting Godfather-like storytelling, you're in the wrong place. So I think this movie is completely serviceable for what it was trying to do, which is just bring the games to life, and I think it does it really well. I'm going to give Mario movie solid 75 out of 100 on the Rocket Review Slosh scale, because I just think it deserves that. It did everything well, and as well as it probably could have. Alright, well that's going to wrap it up for today's Rocket Review Slosh scale, the most pronounced and prolific review on the internet that nobody watches. Toodles. God, did I just end a video with fucking toodles? What am I, a fucking infant?